Let's talk about Pat McAfee real quick because, as you guys know, he's recently been added to the ESPN roster. I want to say earlier this season in 2023, and this came after ESPN was in big turmoil over all of the layoffs, and people thought, me included, that the whole network was falling off. And then they came back and hired the big hitters in Shannon Sharp and Pat McAfee, to name a few. And ever since then, ESPN's popularity has just risen way back up again to the old days. And now no one is actually talking about ESPN's decline nor about the layoffs anymore. However, despite the show's success, it feels to me, at least, that Pat McAfee has never really been fully embraced as he should have been by ESPN as a whole, as a network. And in fact, Pat McAfee himself came out Friday, I believe it was Friday, with a heavy accusation against one of ESPN's top executives by the name of Norby Williamson. And he's saying that he's pretty much trying to sabotage the show. So let's take a listen to what Pat McAfee had to say, and then we can come back and give our takes. But before we do so, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And we understand that more people are watching the show than ever before. We're very thankful for the ESPN folks being very hospitable. Now, there are some people actively trying to sabotage us from within ESPN. Funny. More specifically, I believe Norby Williamson is the guy who is attempting to sabotage our program. I'm not 100% sure. That is just seemingly the only human that has information, and then somehow that information gets leaked, and it's wrong, and then it sets a narrative of what our show is. And then are we just going to combat that from a rat every single time? I don't know. But like, somebody tried to get ahead of our actual ratings release with wrong numbers 12 hours beforehand. That's a sabotage attempt. And it's been happening basically this entire season from some people who didn't necessarily love the old edition of the Pat McAfee show to the ESPN family. Sure. There's a lot of those. We've heard them anonymously quoted in the Washington Post, in the New York Post, in the New York Times, in the LA Times, in Wall Street Journal. And they're never like, yeah, love the show. This is awesome. It's always like little things to try to tear us down. So even with the enemy within our own camp, somebody that I don't like that guy. That guy left me in his office for 45 minutes, no-showed me in 2018. So this guy has had zero respect for me. And in return, same thing back to him for a long time. So even with that taking place and potential PR, like we're still growing somehow. Yep.
All right, so you heard what the man had to say. And I'm quite surprised that he had the balls to say that pretty much on air, because although if you remember the deal, he's not all the way, he's not given his rights all the way to ESPN, but this is a licensing deal. So for those of you that don't know, a licensing deal is pretty much you sign away your rights for a period of time, but you will get the show back and all of the masters after that period of time it has passed. So for Pat McAfee, the deal that he actually signed is a 5-year deal for $85 million. So he's getting paid $17 million a year to talk sports. That's the dream. So shout out to Pat McAfee for that. I know a lot of his fans called him out and were disappointed that he went quote unquote mainstream. But I'm like, this is such a big play for me, in my opinion, because again, this is a licensing deal and it's only 5 years. So for 5 years, you get to use all of the resources of the network. You get to be pushed by the machines and everything and increase your own popularity while making $70 million a year. And once the deal is over, obviously you can reclaim all the rights of the show, maybe license it again with even more leverage because of the increased popularity. And now you've showed that you've been able to be valuable, or you just go back independent and you're still more popular. So you have a bigger audience that will follow you. So it's win-win for Pat McAfee. So I don't see why people were upset. It's just because, there's this big, narrative that you should never sign. You should always stay independent, which is not always the right move, in my opinion. But back to the issue at hand. So if we focus on what Pat McAfee had to say, he said that Norby Williamson accused him of Norby Williamson published some fake ratings. So for those of you that don't know what he's referring to, the New York Post recently came out with an article saying that, for lack of a better terms, that the ratings were mid and that it wasn't worth the deal, the $85 million with such ratings. So when he said that, I was like, okay, so let's just actually go and take a look at what Pat McAfee is actually getting as far as ratings. And this has to be fake, just like Pat McAfee says, because this comes from the sports business column, so pretty legit. And if you look at the ratings, Pat McAfee has been killing it like no one else, pretty much. For the month of December, his average 88.6 thousand average viewers across all live channels per episode. Let me say that again. 886,000 average viewers across all live channels per episodes. That's almost a million viewers per episode. That's insane. That's great. Just to put things in perspective, First Take, which has recorded one of his best months ever in December, is averaging 600,000 viewers per day. So Pat McAfee is blowing that out of the water by 200,000. If you look at the total reach of the show, we are at 1.7 million total reach per show, up 21% for the month of December. If you look at just YouTube, it's 400,000 viewers on YouTube per show. That's crazy. And what's even more impressive is the average watching time per viewer, which is up at 55 minutes per viewer. So for those of you that don't know, this is how you make the money, pretty much. When you go in these rooms and you negotiate your contracts, you got to keep in mind that this whole thing is pretty much a big ad. Like, how you make the money is about the ad that you're going to be able to place on your product. How many and the exposure that you're going to get to whomever is paying you. So if you see guys like Cam, for example, and Mace go out there and get that big bag, is because they know that every day 200,000 people are going to watch. So if you put the ad in, that's 200,000 people per day. So per week, 5 shows a week, that's 1 million viewers watching you, you know? And for an average viewer to say for 55 minutes, that means that within those 55 minutes, you're going to be able to place multiple ads on there. So this is why you make the money. This is why. So this is why just of that is worth those 85 minutes, because he keeps on improving months after month after month. So that number might go even up. And if he does that for 5 years, man, the exposure that he gets for these companies and the money that ESPN is going to be able to make on the backhand while negotiating these ads over Pat McAfee is insane. It's insane. And matter of fact, there's one of ESPN top execs, not Norby Williamson, who actually came out to say, yeah, man, Pat and the boys have grown their audience and have